Thank you for welcoming me onto your screens, onto headphones, depending on how you're watching this. I'm Eddie, and this is The Rollback. Folks, I'm here to talk to you today about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, aka Indiana Jones. It's a good movie. Good, it's entertaining. I don't have a particular fascination with the original, so I don't have that on my plate, but yeah, not bad. So, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is presumably the last film in the Indiana Jones franchise. Officially, Disney has come out to state that it will be the last film. They're not doing any spin-offs, as far as I'm aware, for Disney+. Lucasfilms was interested in doing a spin-off, possibly even a prequel series, but they said, and I quote, "They will not recast Indiana Jones. They are not interested in doing a prequel series. Lucasfilms is focusing strictly on Star Wars, not Indiana Jones. That's where they feel the money's at." So, for all intents and purposes, this is an actual finale for once. Something that is, frankly, unheard of nowadays. A definitive end to a franchise. Not only that, this film, I mean, it's a little shocking, considering how much money they spent, though. This film is estimated to be somewhere between $285 to $295 million, putting it up there with one of the most expensive films of all time. And I'm happy they're doing it. Frankly, I'm surprised. So, I'm sure you want to hear about some of the pros and the cons of this film. So, to start, the film actually begins in 1944, right at the very end of the World War. The Nazis are... Can I say Nazis on YouTube? I'm sure it's fine. The Nazis, the white supremacists, the Proud Boys, are currently taking what they think is the spear that killed Christ. In actuality, it's a forgery. But, nonetheless, there's actually a second thing there. Archimedes... I'm just going to call it the Dial. Archimedes' Dial. It is believed, at least by one of the guys, Voller, who's played by Mads Mikkelsen, one of the Nazis, Voller, that this dial could predict, ranges in time that they could, go through to time travel into specific spots. And he created a device where he could predict this. Interesting premise, interesting thought. I would have never thought to have fucked with time travel, but you know what, Indiana Jones, by all means, do so. From there, he's after the Dial. Indiana Jones and his partner, Basil Shaw. He's actually played by the little bastard from Captain America: The First Avenger. But anyway, that said, he becomes obsessed with the Dial, convinced that it exists, trying to get Indiana Jones to go on one last adventure to go find it. In modern day 1996, after the moon landing happens, after we already brought back the astronauts, Indiana Jones, it's interesting because it feels like... So, a little history of cinema. The Western was big and popular. Superheroes were big and popular. And then came the space race. And then came space comics, sci-fi and stuff like that, which essentially killed off the Western. And superheroes were having a pretty hard time. That's actually one reason why they created, for example, The Flash. They made Superman more alien-y because... that's what kids liked. The moon, space, time travel. Not time travel, but space travel and all that jazz. So I think it's kind of interesting where you get this dynamic of out with the old, in with the new. Indiana Jones even retiring in this film from his job. Or seemingly on the way out. And he's pulled back in for just one last case. Every single time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. But apparently this is the last time. Harrison Ford has gone on record stating... this is his favorite character to play, more than Han Solo, but this is the last time they're going to do it. Now, knowing all that, you would expect Indy may die in this film, and he might. Let's get to that in a second. So, we also are introduced to someone who I actually thought was going to star in the spin-offs of the show, Helena. Helena Shaw, played by Phoebe Bridge, I want to say that's the correct pronunciation of her name. She's great in the role, very fun, very actiony, she has personality. She's not a good person for good person's sake. She is a character that looks out for her own self-interest and the interests of those that she cares about. She's very, I don't want to say selfish, but she's a selfish person. She auctions off antiques to pay for debts, gambling debts, whatever. She's a degenerate, which, I mean, fair enough. It's not like Indiana Jones was a perfect person. Just fucking throwing that out there. But that said, though, these two go on a whirlwind adventure, along with Teddy, kind of like the new young sidekick. And frankly, the movie's entertaining. There's a lot of practical effects. At the beginning, when they show young Harrison Ford, young Indiana Jones, it is scary how good it looks. Like, it looks very uncanny. Like, not the overly smooth phase that people complain about from The Flash, which fair fucking enough, but it's very off-putting because now you kind of, they're bringing back a bit of the whole like bringing back a character that's either passed away or long dead or way beyond the age, just to kind of get them to fit in. It's uncanny, and I don't particularly love it. But nonetheless, though, this film manages to do it, and very well. They shoot in shadows in a good way to where kind of hard to detect. He actually looks like a young Harrison Ford. He looks like the OG Indiana Jones, which I think that's what they were going for. But anyway, that said, story overall, it's fun, it's adventurous. It's not easy to predict where they're going to go just because they cross the world, they cross the country, everywhere, left and right, from New York to Greece to the Mediterranean, Italy, and so much more. You get the feeling of the practical effects. You also get the feeling that they did travel to all these places to use all these practical effects, which probably tells me where the budget went. That said, though, I think I know where it lost a lot of people. The original Indiana Jones trilogy was built off the back of, mostly in reality, with like a smidge of magic, like very tiny bite-sized pieces of otherworldly stuff, just enough for it to be believable. Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls, by many, is believed to have killed the franchise, but also jumped the shark or nuking the fridge, that whole gag. So, that said, this film, if the last one nuked the fridge, in this one, they crossed the river. Maybe that's a bad way to say it. I think they did, because they actually end up time traveling. It's not a joke where it's like, oh, hey, maybe you can time... No, they time travel. In the third act, they actually go back to the siege of Syracuse and meet Archimedes himself. And they actually speak Latin to him, and there's a conversation there. Indiana Jones is damn near killed during the siege, and at one point tells Helena to leave it, to let him die there, that he doesn't have anything to go back to. He lost his son. His son passed away. Shia LaBeouf's character died in the war. He is divorced. He feels wrecked. This is an old man who doesn't have anything left. Truly the reminiscence of a hero that has been through the ringer, because we never see this aspect of it. Iron Man died before he could lose Pepper or lose his daughter. We never saw Steve Rogers, on a steep decline. Thor, it's a little more accurate, but he keeps bouncing back like Christ. But that said, we see Indiana Jones nearing the twilight of his life, nearing the end, and he's lost everything. And sure enough, his goddaughter comes out of the woodwork, and they're off on an adventure. So when he says he wants to die there, I'm not surprised. I'm just shocked that they didn't let him. But here's kind of the trade-off. At one point, he's saying, leave me here to die. She doesn't let him. She just knocks him out, and he wakes up in his apartment. Did you run out of money, Disney? Because that is not a fulfilling act. That is not the way a hero is supposed to go. I understand, but he should have come to that conclusion on his own. Or at the very least, put him more in danger, like, kid, I'm gonna die. You all need to go now. Don't make him, mercy kill me. Have him tell them, hey, I'm dying. You guys need to get out of here. I'm dragging you down. There's not enough room on that plane for me. You'll die. Something along that line. But no, instead, Indy wanted to die, and Helena didn't let him. Which is a good character arc for her. It makes her unselfish, but on the other side of the coin, what does that mean for Indy? It's also weird because, we're in the past. We're at, 217 BC? Sorry, 212 BC during the siege of Syracuse, and within 5 minutes the movie ends? Which is weird. It's so jarring that that's the way we leave Indiana Jones. Typically his films at least have a decent ending where they continue on or whatnot, but it's even if this is the last movie, you're gonna end it on such a weird quick note. I didn't really appreciate it. I didn't like it. Maybe, kill Indy. Have him die a hero's death, leave the hat on his gravestone, and Helena walks away with Teddy to start a new adventure and be archaeologists. Or if you're going to have him live, have him be saved, I don't know, it didn't make sense. It wasn't great. And that's the thing, because this movie was building up in such a great fashion. Again, great practical effects, solid acting, great action sequences, really interesting history, and then this, it's weird. And again, to be clear, I'm not saying this from a point perspective like, well, that ain't my Indiana Jones, because I'm not invested in the franchise. I don't love the Indiana Jones series. So I couldn't give a shit in the direction that they go. My perspective is purely from storytelling. And from storytelling, that third act is fucking weird. The Siege of Syracuse is fine. But the part where Indy wants to die, gets punched out, wakes up in his apartment, and the movie ends like 5 minutes later, like jarring. That's the only way I can say it. This film probably would have been a B+, but because of that weird ending, it's just like a B-. It's not a bad film by any stretch, and I imagine hardcore Indiana Jones fans will love it. I mean, to be fair, DC fanboy here, rose tinted goggles. I understand what it means when I understand what I'm saying when I say, if you love this franchise, you're probably going to love it no matter what. That's just dropped the ball for me. Mads is great. If anything, maybe possibly underutilized. I would have liked it more if he was more fleshed out as a villain, but he's not a bad villain. I just feel like Mads is such a better bad guy than that, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's my take on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Not a bad film, not a great film. Good movie with great aspects that drops the ball in the last 5 minutes, which could have been a lot worse. Could have been Kingdom and the Crystal Skulls again, huh? That said, what did you all think of the movie? Go ahead and comment down below. Please like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. We're always trying to grow this channel. We've been slowly gathering subscribers. I'm thankful for that. We've also been growing our podcast quite a bit, so I appreciate that too. If you want to listen to that, the link is down below. I've been Eddie, and this was The Rollback. We'll see everybody.